What's up, guys? Welcome to today's podcast. Really excited to be on with you guys live again today. Getting a rhythm with this, doing it constantly. I got a special guest today from the PBA, Steve Sleeper. So I'm really excited to break down what the PBA is all about, the different things that they have to offer you guys out there. So I can see you guys in the chat. Make sure that you're posting your questions that you might have for the PBA or me or whatever, and just put them out there so that we can answer them at the end. I'm going to bring Steve on now. Steve, how are you?
Hey, Matt, how are you doing?
Good. It's good to see you. I'm really excited to have this talk with you and really actually kind of meet you face to face. The PBA does wonderful things for the industry, and I really want to get into really in deep with that, because you guys have a lot that you're offering right now, and this is kind of like the PBA's time to like really, I mean, you guys are always doing stuff, but to be able to just kind of have this as a resource, we're really lucky as an industry. So, Steve, why don't you kind of talk about what you do for the PBA, all of that, and then we'll go into what you guys are offering.
Yeah, sure. So, first off, thanks again for having us on. And, the irony is, it's taken obviously a crisis of a magnitude that we've never seen before to help, I think, draw some eyes and some attention to what we do, 24/7 under normal circumstances. So the Professional Beauty Association, nonprofit trade association for the industry, made up of manufacturers, distributors, salon owners, beauty professionals, by and away our largest membership category. And under normal circumstances, we do trade shows with ISSC in Long Beach, and we're part of Cosmoprof North America and NAHA and our Beacon program and normal member benefits and information. But obviously we've shifted our energy and our focus to helping members through this crisis right now. And we've done some things I think that'll be helpful for your viewers and listeners to understand. We've offered up a complimentary membership. So if you're an individual professional and you need access to PBA, we've waived the membership fee through the end of April. We've had a huge response, 12 some odd thousand plus new members who've joined. We've also put together a ton of really comprehensive series of information on the website for how to navigate, what's happening. And early on, it was sort of a focus on how do you manage through what was sort of the partial shutdowns. Not every state was closing yet. And this now moved into a lot of information and resources on the financial aid. How do you get access to the government packages and webinars and information on that? And now they're kind of shifting into more of this. All right, if the light is a bit at the end of the tunnel, we can start thinking about what does it look like to reopen. We started to move to that direction. So those are the big resource lists. I think the one thing that most people are interested about, we launched a COVID-19 relief fund, and it's really an adaptation of a program we've had in place for 50 some years. So we've been doing disaster relief for regional disasters, fires and floods and hurricanes. And that was something we've done for a long, long time. Obviously, this is a whole, new level of disaster. And so we knew, when we started it, we're never going to be able to help everyone who's going to need help, but we knew we had to do something. So we modified the disaster relief plan. We put together kind of a short and streamlined application. We started receiving applications for aid going on about 3 weeks now, and we've really started the focus to be more on fundraising, right? So we've had some really good support from many of our member companies who've stepped up when they don't have budgets anymore either, right? They're laying people off and furloughing and slowing down operations, but they've stepped up, they've donated. We're starting to see a lot of smaller donations come in now, which I think was where the real, effort needs to be going forward. And we're encouraging our members to also spread the word to their constituents, right? Your customers, your clients, your friends, your family. A lot of folks have reached out and say, hey, how do I help my beauty professional in this time of need? And, we're addressing it with, hey, donate, because 100% of what you donate gets turned around and goes back out the door in terms of $500 disbursements to help licensed professionals, in whatever shape or form that $500 can help cover it. And we know it's not a tremendous amount of money, but it's something. And we started awarding funds 2 weeks ago, and basically we're doing it in blocks of funding. So as funds accumulate to the point where we can issue, we're doing a lottery to draw names out of all the applications and awarding funds as fast as we can. And I think to date, Matt, we've awarded about 500 applications, and still more coming in, and more funding coming in. And so we're just going to keep doing this as fast as we can for as long as we can.
So that's something that I want people to, I want hairdressers to think about this stuff, because I do see on the internet a lot of people like, just talking about different hair companies and what are the hair companies doing. And you have a whole list on your site of people that have kind of jumped on board with this. So I think when people think about the future of business and who they do business with, look at the name, look at the people that are really supporting the industry and kind of helping you guys out with the funding of this whole thing. But like you said, the smaller donations are also what's going to really add up. And I don't want people to think like the PBA saying like, if you don't have money to go donate, it's the people that did have the extra money to be able to go there and just, anything can really help this cause. So they go to your website, and then what happens? How do they get involved in both ways, whether applying or donating?
Yeah, they'll see the links to the relief fund, and you'll see both the donate button and an application button. We've been getting lots of feedback. Obviously, some really positive feedback. Some people frustrated. Hey, when am I going to get my aid? And obviously, we tried to message as clear as we can, saying, hey, look, not everyone's going to get selected. It's impossible. We've had tens of thousands of applications, and but I think in a time when the government's struggling to even keep up, and they haven't gotten payments out, at least we've hit the ground running and have tried to disperse as fast as we possibly can, whatever we accumulate. And it's, I think it also is a sign that the industry is trying to also help itself, which is, I think, hopeful, right? That we're not just letting people hang, and we're going to do whatever we can.
For sure. That's great. So let's talk about the PBA, because I do know that this is a big time and things are happening and more people are signing up. But let's talk about what the PBA is all about on a day-to-day basis prior to this COVID-19 kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's, it's one of our bit, it's sort of this blessing and a curse right now, right? People I think have tuned in more and more to what we're doing, which is fantastic. I wish it wasn't a crisis that's driving some of that, because one of our challenges during normal times is just creating awareness, right? That, we're not top of mind for folks. They might recognize one of our programs like ISSC or NAHA or, our Beacon program, things like that. But the reality is we do a lot more than just events. And I think one of the things that's most important is we do have a dedicated group of government affairs specialists, team members who constantly work on regulatory and policy-driven issues, whether it's trying to make sure that we're fighting off deregulation, which has been one of our primary focus areas, to helping to make sure that states don't do something silly with their licensing reform efforts. We're in DC often to talk about tax relief for salon owners primarily has been our focus, and obviously now shifting into making sure that Congress is continuing to pass aid and support for our industry specifically as best we can. So policy work, the charitable work we do, I obviously mentioned the disaster relief fund, which is always there and ready when a fire, a flood, or a hurricane hits. But we also are the sponsor and the supporter of a Cut It Out program, which is a domestic violence recognition program. Obviously, we do great events, we do good education, we have charitable initiatives and the policy stuff. So we're kind of behind the scenes sometimes, and it's, I think, for a salon owner or a licensed professional, sometimes it's not, sexy, but it's the business stuff that, we need members to be connected to and paying attention. It comes down to too, right? We've got to get more unified as an industry. You got to have more people connected to the cause and the mission, because it's exactly right now when strength in numbers, right? You have clout with policymakers, you have clout with state legislators. When you have an issue or a crisis that if you don't have sufficient, sort of clout, you get looked past, right? And you're not at the table. And so that's my biggest frustration, is the industry sometimes doesn't realize how important it is to be connected to your nonprofit trade association. I think people also don't understand we're here as a nonprofit, and volunteer-led members of the industry are part of the board of directors and the advisory councils. So
Yeah,
We're
I
here to
think
serve.
as an industry, we really need to get a lot better at not reacting when something happens and being proactive, before it happens. And Tiffany's actually got a really good question. She's saying, moving forward, what advice would you give salon owners and stylists to be in a better position to forbid something like this happening again? Like putting themselves in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, number one, I'll selfishly say join the association so that we've always got you connected to the information flow and that you're getting the information that we are putting together and you have access to the resources and the benefits. And obviously more people help us do more, right? The more that we have the ability to have more input and more direction and more support allows us to do more. Second big, I think, to answer that question is this is going to be a wake-up call, right? What's happening today is going to have a lot of industry participants pausing to think about, we've been running our businesses, we've been doing the best we can. Some folks are wildly successful, others are still putting the pieces together. But I think what it's going to do is having us look at harder, like the choice to go into business for ourselves, the financial resources we need to have put together, the level of planning we should have in place to sort of make sure we can ride these things out when other kinds of disruptions are going to happen, right? Hopefully nothing ever of this magnitude, but a closure or some other disruption to your business could be just as dangerous as, what we're seeing today. So I do think as an industry, there's just this natural entrepreneurial spirit. Let's just go for it. Then we'll figure it out later, right? That flying by the seat of our pants sometimes can be really dangerous. And so, yeah,
I think a lot of people are definitely learning that now. And there's things like, even me as a salon owner, like I've always just been like, the salon's kind of been its business. And then this free salon education thing has always been kind of like the driver of everything. And it's funny, like now when you just have something like this happen, you start thinking about things completely different and how you prioritize and do all that stuff. So let's talk about the PBA. So it's probeauty.org. For those of you guys that don't know, they go there and you're saying that you're waiving the fee. Is that what you said? Or what's the fee currently?
Yeah, so we've got two different kinds of buckets of membership, if you want to think about it. Okay. One is a business membership. So if you're employing people or you've got a larger entity, you have a business membership, and that allows your team to also sign on and be a part of the benefits. So it's not just you as the owner. And then there's an individual called our preferred memberships for an individual, designed largely for the licensed professional or those who work in the salon who aren't required to have a license. So if you've got a front desk manager or maybe a makeup artist who's not required to have a license. So it's mostly focused on the folks that are in the salon. And that's normally $50 a year, pretty affordable, even under normal circumstances. We've waived that. And part of it is we've got great insurance benefits, and we've got a great telemedicine benefit right now that people can access and use, obviously, maybe more important than ever given what's going on. So.
Let's talk about that. What's the insurance benefit?
Well, we've got liability coverage, you've got professional liability coverage, you've got some property coverage if you actually own your establishment. But the healthcare benefit is pretty powerful, and the telemedicine one in particular, right, allows you to do the virtual doctor visits. They can prescribe things for you within limitations. There's also a kind of a counseling mental health benefit to that, for folks who are maybe just a shoulder to lean on right now. So that was one of the reasons we wanted to waive the fee so that folks could take advantage of that.
Well, that's awesome. So all they have to do, is there a code or anything, or they just go and they can sign up for that? Yeah.
Once they activate the membership, then they'll see all the things they need to do. And obviously the website's great. It's mobile friendly, but for some of this stuff, if you've got access to a laptop, for the initial join, or you want to look at some of the more detailed benefits, right? It's just jump on your laptop or your iPad. You can do it from your phone as well. It's just a lot of content and a lot of scrolling, but it's all relevant. And, we're always here too, right? A phone call away to say, hey, look, I need help with this. Can you help me find this? We'll do whatever we can to help a member.
Yeah. And I saw that. So let's talk hair show for a second, because obviously that's something that you guys are probably trying to quickly figure out. But the Cosmoprof show, you've moved the date, right? It's in Vegas.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a big deal. So we were originally scheduled for the end of June, and we're now into the third week of September. And, like any place where you're gathering high numbers of people, that's become obviously a no-go zone right now. So lots of trade show organizers, special events, obviously the sports and the athletic leagues have had to shuffle their deck to try and find time later in the year where we hope that everyone will be allowed to participate. And obviously we know there's probably going to be some restrictions and things we're going to have to work around, but we're navigating it as best we can. Our intent is to obviously do what's safe and what's right. But we also want to help the industry sort of get back to work when they're ready. I think part of what our role is as an association is to help provide some structure and some framework for people who want to get back to business, and we can provide those venues and those avenues to do that. I mean, maybe call it aspirational, but I do think you've got to have those things. It can't just all be, trudging through this very difficult time frame. You got to have some aspiration about what's coming.
And people are asking in the chat, and I don't know if this is something that you even wanted to dive into, but from a move standpoint as a salon owner or stylist, what do you think are the best options? Do you have opinions on that? Have you been telling people certain things? About
how to navigate or
how to navigate through it. Just kind of like PPP stuff, like not necessarily should they do it or shouldn't they, but what advice are you guys kind of thinking at this point?
Yeah, and it's a bit of a mess, right? Obviously, if you follow the news stories and sort of the backlash, and obviously, as you think about what happened, Congress passing, great, they've done this, but the agencies that are going to administer all this are, we're way behind the curve in being able to go at that kind of a magnitude and deal with that kind of an effort. But we're encouraging you apply, right? Even if you're uncertain, we had lots of questions about unemployment insurance. Some states had adapted their websites quickly with the right kind of messaging saying, hey, you don't have to do some of the stuff you normally did. Others, it still looked exactly the same as it was, before this all happened. So we're telling people, go ahead and apply. You're going to have to be super persistent because they are overwhelmed. Getting people to answer a phone call, almost impossible. But you're going to have to hang in there and be persistent. And like I said, if you're in doubt, apply. The worst you can do is they'll turn it down or send it back to you, but you just have to do your very best to navigate and put the information in and submit. Because they are being lenient. At the end of the day, human beings are interacting on these decisions, and they're trying to err on the side of being more lenient and accommodative. So,
yeah, which is nice, and it's definitely just so that those of you guys out there that watch this and know, I own a salon, so we're every day kind of calling just to check in on things. Like we haven't really heard anything either. On our PPP loans and all that stuff. So nobody's alone right now. Not everybody is hearing back quickly. So just everybody's got to be patient with it. And if you have questions about it, definitely go to the probeauty.org website and check out the plethora of information that is on there for you guys that they put together and organized it and all of that. And obviously take advantage of signing up for those benefits that you can get that obviously are still cheap when this thing is all over. $50 a year is an awesome price for everything that you get. But right now, take advantage of that what people are offering. Steve, is there anything else that you want to say to everybody out there? I think the biggest thing for them to do is go to your site, but is there anything else that you want to put out there for them?
Yeah, I just encourage them to hang in there, right? I mean, you said it, Matt. We're all in this together. Everyone's navigating these uncertain waters, and it's a time to sort of cling to each other and hang tight and ride this thing out, and just know that from what we see and what we hear, we have so many clients and customers that are trying to support and want to help get back to support their licensed professionals and their beauty pros. So don't despair, even though I'm sure there's I know there's extreme circumstances because we get messages from people that are just at the end of the road and they feel like. So there is going to be some hope. We will navigate through this. Stuff will start to fall together and into place over time. And we just got to be consistent and hang in there.
Great. All right, Steve. Well, everybody follow the PBA on everything, Pro Beauty Association. Look it up on Instagram and go to the website. I'm sure you can see all the links on there. And thanks so much for being on here and just sharing the message. And hopefully when this is all said and done, I'll have you back on. We'll talk other stuff that the PBA is doing.
Yeah, we can celebrate. Hopefully we can talk a little bit about what's fun and interesting, not what's mission critical. So
exactly, for sure. But thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the industry. I really appreciate it, and so does everybody else. And I can't wait to have you back on.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
See you.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was Steve. Thank you so much to him for coming on here. Few questions in the chat real quick. I saw, what is the PPP loan? It's the Paycheck Protection Program. So that is for salon owners or business owners that can help pay their employees at this time to try to keep from putting everybody on unemployment. So if you're not a business owner, then unemployment is obviously probably your best. I'm not an expert, so look on the PBA website. But from a business standpoint, the reason I said that we did the PPP loan application was because we're trying to pay our staff right now in this hard time when we can't pay them, to not put them on unemployment, because we do healthcare for our staff, and we don't want to cancel that either. So we're just trying to keep everything going, keep it normal. So hopefully that helps you guys. Thank you guys so much, everybody at Minerva Beauty. Minerva Beauty sponsors this podcast. They put it together. They gave me the contact info for Steve so that I could have him on the show. They reached out to me at the beginning of this crisis, this pandemic thing. And when all salons were getting shut down, they said, we want to do what we can to help out the industry. We can send some of our friends onto your show. So I really appreciate them stepping up and doing that. Thank you to the PBA for the information and the website. Go check it out. Again, it's probeauty.org to check that out. And that's pretty much it. We'll be live again this week, probably tomorrow. So make sure that you follow everything at Free Salon Education on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and you'll keep up to date with when we're going live, when we're doing all that stuff. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys on the next show. Thanks.